to the famous WIDSA 1. And it is important for Kenyans to know that we are really taking care, we care about them. In that meeting of WIDSA, we spent 15 hours, uninterrupted 15 hours. We locked ourselves in, both the national government, members of parliament, governors, senators from the region. They appeared, and we discussed at length about how to revitalize the sugar industry. And one thing that was in agreement is that it was more political than economic war. And we agreed to put our differences aside. When we entered that room, governors then had taken their position. They want the sugar mills. Politicians thought we are not doing anything. But by the time we left the room, we were all in agreement that this is about Kenyans. And that is why we have gone this far. We have silently agreed also that in the course of this process, we shall have WIDSA 2. So that we don't go out there attacking each other, looking at issues, but we can approach this thing in a way that is of benefit to our people and the country. You can imagine Swaziland are able to export sugar, and they only farm 10,000 hectares. That is the catchment owned by only Nzoia Sugar. True?
Yes.
Yeah. Meaning, Nzoia Sugar alone can supply sugar the whole of this country. We have more than now 10 millers. The irony of it is that it is our own internal wars, our own selfish interests, which we have decided we are going to set aside. And I can assure you this is one of the most successful processes that will take place. We have been able to break ice for 10 good years. We could not sit together on a round table to discuss the issue. So at least I thank my brothers, governors, members of parliament, and also the support I have received from my brother. And I want to assure you, with this task force, we are almost 100% sure that we are going to succeed. We have agreed with also private millers, has suffered a number of challenges which have led to inadequate production of sugar for national consumption and denied steady income to our farmers. These challenges include low cane supply, cane poaching, aging equipment, obsolete technology, high debt portfolio, farmers' arrears, staff salary arrears, non-remittance of statutory deductions, lack of regulations, poor corporate governance, lack of sector funding, excess sugar importation, among others. The task force. The sugar sector has previously relied on several sectorial strategies and initiatives to address some of these challenges. In response to these developments, His Excellency the President, on 20th of October 2018, directed that a sugar industry task force be established. The objective of the task force is to identify the challenges and give recommendations of lasting solutions to address problems delivering the industry and offer practical solutions which would address the industry's competitiveness. It is envisaged that through the implementation of the recommendations of the task force, all the stakeholders in the value chain will realize value from their endeavors and in the long term address the challenges of the current and competitiveness of the industry, as well as contribute to the economic growth of the country. As directed by His Excellency the President, that I constitute and with consultation with the co-chair, the task force, we reached out to the stakeholders who would constitute the Sugar Industry Task Force. And you have appointed the following members. I will co-chair with my brother Opalanya. Members will be Zachary Okoth Obando, representing the COG. Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, also representing COG. Mrs. Omondi, representing Privatization Commission. Bernard Otieno, representing the Public Mills. We have Patel Gopal, representing Private Millers. We have Ken Gubao, representing Private Millers. Caroline, representing Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee. Patrick Omtia, representing Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council. Mr. Zakayo Malaga, representing the Ministry of Agriculture, representing the National Treasury. Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe, representing the National Assembly. Mr. Francis Waswa, representing the Kenya National Sugarcane Federation. And Mrs. Lamenya, representing the Attorney General. We have also received the name from the Senate, and also will be part of the task force. In support of the activities of the task force, the Secretariat shall comprise of officers from the Ministry of Agriculture, Agriculture and Food Authority, Lake Region Economic Bloc, and the Council of Governors. The terms of reference of the task force are to A, review the policy, legal, regulatory, and institutional framework of the sugar industry and make appropriate recommendations. Review past, present, and emerging challenges facing the sugar industry. And all these, I will read them. I don't have to repeat appropriate recommendations. Review the sugar industry value chain, including research, and make appropriate recommendations. Review importation and taxation structures in the sugar sector. Undertake an absolute and comparative assessment of the sugar industry competitiveness in the East African community, the common markets for Eastern and Southern Africa, that is COMESA, and globally, and also make appropriate recommendations. Undertake an analysis of the role of different stakeholders, segments, and make recommendations on how stakeholders can collaborate amongst themselves and with the national county government to develop the sugar subsector. Identify and evaluate the most suitable strategic interventions to revitalize the state-owned sugar mills. Review the pricing mechanism in the sugar sector and make appropriate recommendations. Review funding mechanism, make recommendations, address all other issues that may revitalize the sugar industry. Develop a comprehensive report with recommendations to be implemented in the short term, medium term, and long term. The duration of the task force is supposed to work within the time frame of the 30 days with specific deliverables as outlined in the task force detailed work plan. That will be released later. And we expect that this will come into force this Friday. I forwarded the same copy to the Attorney General for him to gazette, and we expect him to gazette this Friday so that the 30 days will commence on Friday or Monday next week.
Guys, for coming late. We were in a meeting with the Devolution Cabinet Secretary, but unfortunately came very fast ahead of me. But I want to take this opportunity also first of all, to appreciate the appointment that was made by the President on 20th October 2018 when he was in Kakamega, that I co-chair this particular task force. And I think he did this realizing that sugarcane farming is the main economic mainstay for the people of Kakamega and Western as a whole. And the fact that this industry has collapsed, it has affected the economy of those counties, especially those in the Lake Region Economic Bloc, the 14 which I happen to chair as the chairman of the Lake Region Economic Bloc. I will request that those people who have been appointed to this task force, they really have to be committed so that we are able to deliver a bankable document by the end of 30 days. And I appreciate that the President and the government and his government has taken keen interest to revive the sugar industry. And I want to thank you, CS, also. You took this assignment very seriously. We have had several meetings to make sure that we move forward. However, in the Lake Region also, we had our own meeting, because in the Lake Region, as an economic bloc, we have taken the revival of sugar industry as a priority in that particular region. And we have had several meetings with the millers and with the representatives of the farmers. So we actually know where the problem is. As soon as we put together this report, I'm hopeful that we will move forward. But I would also request through you, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of agriculture, that we embark on a program to start paying farmers, so that we do not wait for the task force. As you are doing the same for the maize farmers, you do the same for the sugarcane farmers. I think what you will require is to carry out an audit as soon as possible, and the money should be availed from the Treasury. The President already committed 2.6 billion, the farmers' arrears, which we should be able to pay. And this will also encourage the farmers to start farming cane. They had actually abandoned cane farming because of non-payment. And if this is done, I'm sure that we will move forward. Myself as a co-chair, I will be committed myself, I'm committing myself for the 30 days to be with you here to make sure that a good report comes out for us to move forward. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Okay. You know, the most